The Animal Crossing 3.0 update has been out now for a few days, so what I wanted to do right now is go over my initial impressions. I've been playing through it pretty slowly. I'm not time traveling to skip ahead or anything like that, and I wanted to just talk about the things that have genuinely surprised me, both positive surprises and some kind of negative as well. Now, I know everybody's early game experience is going to be a little bit different from mine. As for where my island is right now, my island is more or less complete in the sense that I'm through all the early game stuff, right? I've gotten my house fully upgraded, I've paid down all of my loans, and I'm now buying the extra storage upgrades. And at that point in the game, you unlock a lot of stuff. The instant I turned the game on, I had already had unlocked the hotel on the day 3.0 launched, for example. Speaking of the hotel, that's where I want to start today. All the things around it that kind of caught me off guard. The first being that you can place items outside on this pier. I'm very impressed by this. I wasn't expecting this at all. I thought maybe we'd still be able to place some designs and stuff on here. You can place custom designs all over this. I've already seen some really funny, interesting builds online, and the fact that I could just put a crafting bench in my storage right here next to the new Dropbox, awesome. But the thing I was more surprised about was the new items. I have 2 more rooms to build in this hotel, and as you build rooms, you unlock more of the new items that have been added to the game. Now, I'm trying to, again, play it slowly. I'm not going through and like speed running things. So I can't say definitively if this is all the new items. I'm trying not to look it up, but I will say that so far, there's no indication that these items that you unlock with the hotel are abundant. It seems like we got a few new furniture sets and things like that. And more importantly, these new items that were added with the hotel, it seems, are not purchasable in any other means. You have to use tickets. You cannot buy them from the catalog, and therefore I also think they're not going to be showing up in Nook's Cranny. Additionally, I don't think you can get them from Wardell's catalog in Happy Home either. I got the marble fireplace and stuff yesterday while I was doing a build for one of the new Amiibo villagers, and those were new items to me. I thought that they were added with 3.0 in the hotel, but anything you use in Happy Home is supposed to be in this catalog, and the tubular stuff isn't showing up, but to be fair, I haven't built a room with those yet, and the marble stuff isn't showing up, which I haven't unlocked over in my hotel yet, but I'm pretty certain is new. So I don't know. If you know more about this than I do, please let me know. But as it stands right now, it appears that you cannot order this furniture by any other means. Now, is this the end of the world? No. I totally understand that all the new items would need to be purchased only with those tickets. It gives the tickets a lot more meaning, especially in the long game, as you want to collect maybe more of the same. Maybe you want multiple cat plushies. So yes, I understand that they want you to continue earning tickets, and those tickets need to have a purpose. I guess what was less expected on my part is that I thought with the new update that also meant we were just getting a slew of new items in general. It seems like the catalog for the hotel is pretty robust. It seems like there's some new stuff in it that is surprising and fun, but it's also, as I'm getting towards the end of like doing my 8 rooms, seeming like there's not as many new items added to the game as I previously thought there would be. It's important to note with stuff like that that's all in my head. Like I was the one hyping myself up, telling myself this, oh wow, they're probably adding hundreds and hundreds of new items. And maybe they did. And again, I'm playing it slowly. Maybe I haven't gotten that far yet. I haven't even gotten to the Nintendo consoles yet that they put in the game. But it does appear like it's not a 2.0 sized update in terms of new items, but I'm happy to be wrong about this. The next surprise, also related to the hotel, is the sheer amount of new villagers walking around my island. Now, I knew the tourists would be, a common occurrence after we got the hotel on our island. I just didn't realize how fast my island would start to feel more alive. Again, with only 6 rooms done at this point. So you can tell a tourist here on my island when they are wearing this particular attire. And they always start out by introducing themselves. It says tourist until they introduce themselves. Then the bubble changes and it's Lopez. And this addresses something also that I think people should probably take note of. A lot of the complaints around Animal Crossing New Horizons have revolved around the lack of new dialogue in the game. But these tourists also give us that too. There's a lot of new dialogue added around the idea that they are tourists coming to visit this island, and they talk about their vacation and things like that. Also, so what can happen that was very surprising is that villagers who used to live on your island visit the hotel and they remember you. Now, this is different than when you're doing like a villager hunt and you go to like a random island and you run into someone who used to live on your island. That person pretends like they've never met you before. But this dialogue is here when a villager comes back to your island and they're like, oh my gosh, as we're getting right now, I'm so overwhelmed with feelings right now. I just love that touch. I just think that's so nice. It's so much more realistic. Unfortunately, new residents walking around your island is something people are actually not happy about. I've seen on social media a lot of pushback to this idea that they should just be walking around, and the biggest complaint seems to be around the fact that these villagers don't match the very carefully crafted aesthetic that people have strived for on their islands. And to that, I say nonsense, because my island, Trip Falls, is perfect for this. These mannequins have both been dressed the same way, and this is the attire of a Trip Falls resident. This is how everyone on Trip Falls should probably be dressed, including my own villagers. If we take a look at my map, you'll see that my theme is utter nonsense. This is my theme. This hotel works perfect for my evil purposes, right? But I understand that not everybody, this isn't for everybody. I do appreciate, though, that you can dress them however you want, and I highly recommend dressing these mannequins, because it does appear, at least right now, that 100% of the hotel visitors will wear this. Now that I've put the same outfit on both of them, they will all look the same. I'll always know when someone's visiting Trip Falls versus when someone lives on Trip Falls. I'm trying to get villagers on my map, on my island, that, you know, actually match this aesthetic. They're not all here yet, but Lucky's one of the villagers that's staying. Peaches is here, and Stitches, they both have little X's on their eyes. Kurt has a big bandage on his head. So this is like something that I'm personally trying to do on my island. It's working really well. And I love that my guests also respect the culture on my island. So to wrap up the hotel surprises on my list, I'll just say I think it was more surprising to me that people were angry about this new feature. Like, so many people are mad about this. I love it. I think this is exactly what Animal Crossing needed. I want to see more characters on my island. I've worked really hard to build an infrastructure. I'm obviously still working on it, but I've worked really hard to build this infrastructure and these nice big paths, and to have my island exceed the 10 villager cap in the form of like residents that are visiting my island. And it's new ones every day too. I just think it's so much more fun, but you know, to each their own. Let's talk about the next list of surprises that kind of like caught me off guard here, and they revolve around Slumber Islands. Now, something we learned before the update dropped is that Slumber Islands were going to be limited to people who had Nintendo Switch Online. They work on Switch 1 and 2, but you have to have Nintendo Online to use this feature. I don't personally love that. It seems like this entire thing is stored, though, on Nintendo's servers. If, for whatever reason, they're having server trouble or maintenance, I assume that I can't access my Slumber Islands. It's just an online feature. And it kind of stinks, because this is, I think, the pillar of this update. This, if you have access to Slumber Islands, you'll feel it. Like, this feels like the actual biggest part of the update, because this is the thing that lets Animal Crossing New Horizons, as a design sandbox, have the most replayability that we've ever seen in an Animal Crossing game. So we're going to go to Only Falls, which is an island that we've been making on stream. I've invited my channel members to jump in, and sometimes we open it up and people come on and, you know, just build everywhere. So I'm just going to walk around it and talk about some of the things that I like and don't like that have kind of been really surprising since playing with Slumber Islands for a couple days now. First and foremost, the new music that they made for Slumber Islands that just kind of plays on a loop is lovely. I absolutely love this. It's one of those like examples of just how good Nintendo, and in particular the team that works on Animal Crossing, is at putting together arrangements for this game. It just feels, it's such a vibe. I really, really love it. It reminds me of the song that plays when you first start a new island and you never really hear it again after that. It plays the entire time, and it's so nice. But anyway, that was a positive, the music. A negative here for me is the fact that you cannot change seasons. You can change the time of day to whatever you would like. You can change the weather, but you cannot change the season that your Slumber Island is on. And that, to me, is very, very, very surprising. This is basically Animal Crossing's answer to creative mode, something people have wanted for New Horizons since it came out, judging by how popular Treasure Islands are. It feels so weird. It feels like a complete oversight that I couldn't change the season. A lot of people don't like winter. They don't like the snow on the ground and for how long it lasts. And I'm kind of in that camp. I do like that the seasons change, and I like when there's snow on the ground, but I've always felt like the snow on the ground should like kind of come and go. And I looked everywhere. I must have spent 10 minutes just clicking around these menus and being surprised every minute that went by more and more that I could not do anything about the season. The other thing you'll notice about Slumber Islands is that there's only one building, and then the big dock where everyone kind of arrives on the island, and that's kind of where you manage all of the bits on the Slumber Island. You change the name, you change your outfit. That's it. There's no option at all to get more buildings on Slumber Islands. You can, however, this was surprising on the positive side, you can bring in villagers from your island who currently live there, but you can also bring in villagers who used to live on your island. These are villagers, I think I might still have Wolfgang. These are villagers that once lived on my island. You already saw Ketchup, and you can bring them right in and they'll walk around. You can bring up to 10 villagers on at a time. I thought this was pretty cool, and other people visiting your island can bring in their villagers. So you can start to see villagers around here that, you know, you've never had before, and that's also pretty fun. It just kind of, again, feels a bit weird, though, that I couldn't bring on their houses as an option. I like sometimes having like maybe one or no buildings, because there's a lot you can do in Animal Crossing in terms of design if the buildings don't get in your way, but sometimes I like to decorate around buildings. I usually enjoy like using a building as like my inspiration for a build. And now we see the return of like, you know, the desire to make fake buildings. This is something Wilbo built while we were streaming, and he made this whole fake building with a potluck and everything else, and it looks really nice. But I mean, what if we could have put the museum here if we wanted to, or something like that? And that not being an option also feels, again, like a bit of an oversight. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get another update in this game in the future that they, you know, if they kind of expand on the idea of Slumber Islands and address some of these things, because I know a lot of people have been talking about the fact that you can't get, you know, more buildings or things like that. So I have hopes that maybe in the future, again, if we get any more updates, that they add more features to this. It just feels like there's a lot of headroom now to make Slumber Islands even better. But the last thing on Slumber Islands I want to touch on before we move on to the next thing, this right here is now what really confuses me. If you can see at the top, I'm on 3.0, and I have a little 2 icon at the top corner there. That means I have the Switch 2 edition. I'm playing on a Switch 2, and I have the Switch 2 edition. And right here is where that becomes very apparent, because I can choose to start a regular session or a 12-player session. So a 12-player session only allows people who have a Switch 2 and the Switch 2 upgrade to visit the island, but you can have up to 12 people. A regular session will let anyone visit, whether they have the Switch 1 version or the Switch 2 version, but only up to 8 people. Now, why is that so shocking? Well, the reason I'm kind of surprised by this is because I have the Switch 2 version, and I'm hosting the island. So I kind of assumed that what would happen is if you are playing on an island and you're the host of it and you have the Switch 2 version, you can have 12 people come onto the island, and it doesn't matter what version they have. Switch 1, Switch 2, it shouldn't matter, right? It doesn't matter with the 8 people. Why should it matter with the 12 people as long as the person hosting it has the Switch 2 edition? Now, the reason this is a problem is because it severely limits the amount of people I can have based on what I personally think is an arbitrary rule. Maybe there's a very important technical reason 12 people cannot be on a Switch 1's screen at a time. But I feel like it's just kind of a selling point for the Switch 2 personally. Like I said, I was opening this up to my channel members while I was streaming, and I decided to just do a quick poll, and I basically asked, you know, which version of Animal Crossing do you have? Are you playing on Switch 1 or are you playing on a Switch 2? And if you are, do you have the upgrade or not? And it seems like pretty much everyone who's playing on a Switch 2, which I spelled wrong in that last option, does have the Animal Crossing upgrade, right? Which makes sense, right? It's, I think in the US, like $4.99, and it's not too much to pay for like upgrading your game to play better on a Switch 2. So a couple people have the Switch 2 and Animal Crossing but didn't buy the upgrade. Overall, though, this is 48 votes. I don't have like a ton of channel members or anything like that. And in good conscience, I could not open this only to Switch 2 people, because I still have so many of the folks who voted here playing on a Switch 1 who are channel members. And I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was as inclusive as possible to everybody. So even though it limits the amount of people I can have down to 8, I'm still only doing sessions right now for both the Switch 1 and 2. And it's just kind of weird that I had to make that choice. I would have really, really liked if the 12-player option worked with, you know, the Switch 1 version, as long as the person hosting it had the Switch 2. I just assumed it was going to work that way. I'm surprised that they split that hair, I guess. But on to some other surprises. And these next couple things were on the patch notes, but they were not in the trailer, and I'm very, very pleased. I was hoping they would do this, but we can now buy more customization kits in bulk, up to 50 in one shot. This is awesome. This is exactly what should have happened. Unfortunately, we only came to the customization kits. We cannot buy things like saplings or wrapping paper in larger quantities past 5 at a time. So that's just a little bit weird to me. That it's like they addressed a problem they knew they had, but only for one thing. That one thing is probably the most important thing. But yeah, I was kind of hoping this would come to the other things, but it's fine. It's fine. But the other surprise that I learned from the patch notes is something I would have never found on my own had I not read the patch notes. Leaf, who has always had a weeding service, like he pulls weeds off your island for you, finally got this into a usable state. So the weeding service, the way this has worked in the past is that I think you needed about 300 or so weeds on your island before you can come up to him and say, hey, can you please take care of all these weeds on my island? I've never gotten to use it because I only had that many weeds when I started the game and I don't have Leaf yet, so why would I ever get to use this? Now, you only need 30 weeds on your island for him to start finally picking them up. I don't really have this right now on my island. I've been just making it one of my daily chores to pick up my weeds myself. Your island doesn't seem that full of weeds yet. I recommend waiting until there's more work for me. But he charges 60,000 bells for this. I did not know how much this cost in the past. 60,000 bells. He'll do all your weeds. I tested this on my other island, and I paid the 60,000 bells. I went back, and he hadn't done it yet. I skipped through the dialogue, and I think that means he just simply was going to do it overnight, kind of like when you build a new bridge or something. But to pay 60,000 bells, the same price as Rossetti charges, by the way, to pick up anything, and not even do it instantly was really surprising to me. I don't think the service is worth it in that regard if you are like tight on cash. If you have like hundreds of millions of bells, you've been playing forever, then yeah, absolutely. But this wasn't this wasn't expected. I was not expecting it, one, to be addressed finally, but two, to cost so much. So both a pro and a con there. Very happy I can use this now if I want to. The price is nuts. Anyway, next I want to talk about some items on my list that we had no business expecting to have addressed, but also I was kind of hoping they'd be addressed anyway, and they were not. Let's start with the biggest one. We know the hotel puts us in a position to use a lot more of our crafting materials, right? Wood, stone, all that stuff. Well, let me tell you that this has been a struggle since the update came out. I have a lot of stuff, but one of the things I am running out of very quickly are all of these materials, especially this particular wood, because it just seems that Captain wants stuff made out of this the most. So getting DIY materials is still just as difficult as it's always been. You got to go to Nook Miles Islands. You got to go to Captain Islands. You got to, deforest everything. You need to do your best to always stay on top of gathering stuff. I'm almost out of stone. And this was something that I was saying early on before the update came out, we probably need to have addressed since people are going to be tempted to use a lot of materials. I understand as time goes on, they'll probably use the hotel less. They might catch up again, but it's just surprising. Such a DIY focused update. I just kind of assumed that we would get more materials in some way, but that hasn't really, played out. Another thing I really would have liked to see addressed in this update was the amount of repeat DIYs and cooking recipes that the villagers give you. I have seen people kind of speculating on this, that maybe you get more not repeat recipes now. Maybe the RNG has kind of changed on this. It appears that I don't have this one, maybe. Oh, no, I already do. And when I first downloaded the update, I did get a couple new recipes from Crafting Villagers and the beach, so I was hopeful. I don't have a ton of stuff on this character yet, so that's not too surprising. I think for me, it was just a coincidence. But I'm not getting as many new DIYs as I was hoping. Now, similar to Leaf's weeding service, or the fact that we can bulk buy DIY kits now, customization kits, I was kind of hoping and partially assuming that they would change the RNG and make it so that I would get more new recipes to help complete the most difficult catalog in the entire game, your DIY catalog. We'll see if this beach one is new today. I don't think it will be. It is the golden seat, and I know I have this already. So yeah, all 4 recipes, because I got 2 from Happy Home earlier, were duds. So maybe there's a new one on a Captain Island for me today, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. To be fair, I have collected a lot of stuff since my time playing. I got this island and started it up when the Switch 2 came out, and I'm not doing too bad for myself. I try and stay on top of getting as many things as I possibly can, but I'm still nowhere near the finish line, and it would have just been nice for them to address that. It's kind of lame to make it a daily task to run around and talk to everybody and see who's crafting, only for you to come away with like 5 new recipes or 5 recipe cards and none of them are new. If anyone out there has done some data mining though, and you know that actually the RNG has changed and maybe in the last couple of days I've been unlucky, please let me know, because some people are saying and insisting that no, it has indeed changed. I have not seen this play out for me, but I'm not a data miner. Maybe someone out there has a definitive answer. Another thing that greatly bothers me about the 3.0 update that wasn't addressed is the fact that we can still only order 5 things per day per catalog. You can order 5 things from Nook Shopping, 5 things from the hotel, 5 things from Wardell's catalog, and 5 things from the Nook Stop using your Nook Miles. And that's it. You can have up to 20 new items, all from different shopping methods. So I've been trying to buy all the new stuff that has been added in that catalog. So I have the cute Lego wall. That was the last thing I bought. I'm trying to do this one, like, and just go down the list carefully so I collect them all, right? So I buy the modern Lego wall and then the next items that come in after that. And eventually I'll hit my cap of 5. And it's disappointing, to say the least. Not just because it's going to take me a long time to get all the new stuff in my storage, and then it'll be over. But when you want to use the game as a decorating sandbox, which is what it is, you would expect and hope you can order more things. The 5-item rule has always been in place since, like, I think the GameCube version of the game. And this is something that at the time, the GameCube version, it made sense. Your mailbox could only hold, I think, 10 or 12 letters at a time before it got full. This mailbox can hold up to 300 letters, though. So it does feel a little bit arbitrary. It feels like they just forgot and have not addressed the fact that this is actually like nonsensical at this point for Animal Crossing New Horizons, given that there is such a focus on designing an entire landmass versus the older games where you were only responsible for designing your house. So I was really hoping, especially when I saw the DIYs, like the bulk buying for those have been increased, I was really hoping this catalog thing would be addressed. And it wasn't. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. I think someone even asked me if they would increase the limit going into this, and I probably said no at the time, knowing Nintendo and all that stuff. But I would have said no to the bulk buying being increased for DIYs or the weeding service being fixed. So they addressed some of the problems, but they didn't address that one. And they also didn't address this. It is still not possible to buy more than 1 item of clothing per tab in the Able Sisters dressing room. A lot of us wanted to see some kind of update to this system where we could maybe, put a bunch of stuff in a shopping cart and then hit order. Again, not too surprised by this. I shouldn't be surprised at all. But I want all of those like little suspender outfits. And now I'm going to have to walk in and out of this dressing room 100 times to get them. This is one of those tedious things that, kind of like forces me to play the game longer, but not in a way that I think is fun. It would have been nice to just have this addressed finally. The biggest surprise of all, though, with the 3.0 update is more or less, for me, a personal problem, but something that I wonder if some of you are feeling as well. I am still having trouble with design inspiration. Now, that's partially on me. I should probably go out and see some of the cool things people are building. But for example, I've been trying to build up this Nooks area on stream a little bit. And to me, it just feels more or less incomplete, especially over here. I still need to do some stuff. The parking lot area, kind of by this spot in front of the cars, looks a little barren to me. And I've just been struggling to come up with ideas for it. Up here, we were vibing and it came out really nice. I really like the way this little area came out. And because I don't have like a consistent theme, I kind of do this thing where I kind of decorate different areas as like sections. Like that's a more forest core kind of area. And this is going to be a little more city core a little bit, with some forest elements added to it. So at first it was going well and I'm still struggling. And I thought after 3.0 and all the new items, I would be like inspired to use them in all these builds. But maybe it's just because of the sheer lack of new items that have really been added to the game, or at least that I found. I've been struggling a lot to continue building, and that's probably just a symptom of the game being rather old at this point. It's like 6 years old now, and I've played it a lot. I've made several islands from start to finish in different ways, doing different challenges and things like that, and it's just aging games. So on the one hand, I'm just really, really happy that we have this update. On the other hand, I have to figure out how I can like get really hyped for doing the thing that Animal Crossing games, or at least this game, does or focuses on the most, which is decorating. A giant sandbox. I do like games like this, but I'm just really glad we have Nintendo consoles in them now. I'm hoping to unlock them soon because I want more excuses to visit Animal Crossing without having the decorating part looming over me. So that kind of surprised me. I thought the new update would really just kind of get me really, really ready to decorate, and hasn't worked out that way. But let me know what you think. Also, 85K, thank you so much. Hopefully we can hit 100K if you want to subscribe. That would be awesome. I've been watching this little clock tick up faster than it has in a while. So just thank you for that. That's been awesome. I will see you in the next one. Here's another video about 3.0. Goodbye.